And we are live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Dark Horse Indy Series Race 4 of Season 2 here at Watkins Glen International, the classic layout for today. Joining me today in the broadcast booth is Thomas Fisher. Thomas, how are you doing tonight?
As always, Jonathan, I'm doing extremely well. How about yourself?
I'm doing really good as well. I'm very excited for tonight because we have a very, very interesting race for you all. Typically, when an IndyCar Series would go to Watkins Glen, they would use the full layout. So, backstretch chicane, the boot that's at the end of the track. We're doing something just a little bit different today. The drivers are going to be completely skipping the backstretch chicane and not taking the bus stop. And instead of taking the boot, they're going to take the NASCAR layout. So it's going to be a straight shot out of the carousel and down towards the final two turns. Thomas, how do you think that's going to affect the racing tonight?
I mean, you can see, though, just by that, the race is going to be so slipstream dependent. I mean, I've participated in some of the practice races, and, I could pull out a gap, but at about 0.8 of a second, that's right where they start to gain back the downforce in the corners, but they're still having to suck down the straights. So I expect there's going to be a lot of battles that are going to be happening just because of how they're going to be stuck in that draft.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the draft is going to play a very, very important factor when we're going down those long straightaways. To help you all get a little bit acclimatized to this new layout, we have actually prepared a quick little track guide, so we're going to play that before practice wraps up.
Hello everybody and welcome back to TMG. My name is Thomas Fisher and I'm here to bring you a track guide to the Watkins Glen Classic layout, no boot, no chicane, that is, ahead of Wednesday night's Dark Horse Indycar Series presented by Butt Kickers race here. Without further ado, let's get this lap underway. Heading towards the final corner now, super important to get a good exit out here to start your lap off well. Don't touch that curb on the right hand side, it will spin you out. Okay, good run that was. And now heading towards the final corner. We're going to go up to 6th gear just off to the line, and now we're going to brake just before that change of surface. There you go, you can just clip that bit of a hump there on the curb on the right hand side, but nothing more than that. Heading up the hill now, super important to have a good run out of turn 1 for the S's, and then that big long straight hang down towards the carousel. As you come out of the corner, you're going to want to just slowly drift over to the left hand side. You don't want to do it too quickly or you will kill your momentum. Looking over now, you can see that hump in the road. You're going to brake just after it down to 4th gear. We're just going to let the car coast through, keep it nice and tight. Now run all the way out to the left hand side. Here we go, down towards the penultimate corner now. Very tricky this one because you brake whilst you turn. There you go, down to 4th gear, over the curbing, down 2 more gears. Don't touch that curb on the right hand side. Get all the way over to the wall on exit, get back over, and that is a lap of Watkins Glen Classic.
54.
Welcome, race fans. This is Paul Page, the voice of IndyCar. And today we're excited to present another IndyCar event brought to you by the Dark Horse IndyCar Series. From the Unzers to Mears, to Forsythe and Andretti, now it's Corley, Peterson, Davies, Gardner, and Teague. You can expect high speed, incredible wheel-to-wheel action, and intense drama that you can only get in an IndyCar. So sit back and enjoy your favorite drivers from all over the world take the track. Dark Horse IndyCar drivers, start your engines.
Back live here on TMG, where qualifying is just about to get underway here at the Watkins Glen International. The session is switching over now. After practice, here is how everything ran down. Alexander Van de Sant was at the top of the board with a 53.721. However, that lap was likely draft assisted, so we will see if that is able to be carried over into qualifying. Speaking of qualifying, we are now in that session. We'll see what drivers decide to take to the track first. Charles M. Johnson, one of the drivers to elect to start going out onto the track. Nicholas Wannock loaded onto the racetrack as well. So is Charles Teed, Michael Spell, Nick DeGroot, last week's winner. Brendan Passalacqua loaded up as well, and so is Josh Garner. Let's focus in on Nick DeGroot, who struggled in practice just a little bit as he lays down his qualifying laps here at the first road course race of the season. So this is going to be a
just
right here.
Yeah, just while we're watching that outlap from Nick DeGroot there, let's have a quick run through your point standings as it stands. Leading the standings after last week's race is Nick DeGroot with 51 points. I'm trying to figure out how this works. Okay, and on 44 points in second, we have Brendan Passalacqua, followed by AJ Musselman, Craig Forsythe, Charles Teed, Max Davis, Jeffrey Duncan, Nicholas Wannock, Alexander Van de Sant, and David Leclerc rounds out your top 10.
So taking a look at this points battle, Nick DeGroot does have, he has the points lead, and I imagine that after those first two races, he's feeling pretty confident after those first 2 starts. You know, he has a decent enough points cushion. It's only 6 points, but I feel like that's decent enough if Charles Teed is to have a bad race. You see Nick DeGroot on his qualifying lap right now, but Thomas, as someone who has raced in leagues like this before, do you ever really feel comfortable when you're in the points lead and in a position like Nick DeGroot is?
No, I mean, obviously you always know that someone's about to be hounding at your behind, and I did just realize I am very dumb. Instead of reading the actual standings, I read the last week's race results. So,
Well, Nick DeGroot is your points leader by 6 points over Charles Teed, your defending champion. Going into the final 2 turns here, it's been a decent lap for DeGroot so far, getting on the curbing a little bit on entry. Not something you want to do, apexing through that final turn. Those final 2 turns, they really flow nicely together. Across the line now, Nick DeGroot's first lap will be a 54.447, and that is at the moment going to put him in first with Charles Johnson going into second with a 54.628, spell to third with a 55.0. Right now it's the 54.4 of Nick DeGroot to beat.
Yep. Right now, though, the drivers are probably going to want to have a look at will be Charles M. Johnson, because we saw his pace in the, well, you guys didn't, but I did because I was there. His pace in the practice race, I qualified with a time of 54.1, I do believe it was, and Charles was about a 10th behind me. So he's pretty much going to be our best bet here for pole, I reckon, as no one's really gone underneath the time that he set last week.
Yeah, Charles Johnson definitely looking to be a threat. He's qualified well the last 2 races. He's had some decent runs, just hasn't been able to string that whole race together. Tonight could be the night that he is able to get it done through the final 2 turns. Now it's been a decent lap so far. Charles Johnson going to come across the line and set a 54.2. That'll put Charles Johnson up into second. Alexander Van de Sant, like you were saying, sets a 54.001, almost in the 53-second range. Right now, Van de Sant on pole by 0.2.
Yep, you can see now Bill Schwabauer sitting in that 12th position with a 57.7. I'm sure he probably made a mistake on his lap, as Craig Forsythe is the first man to drop below the 54s.
Good lap by
Good
Forsythe.
lap from him. Yeah, the question is, though, will anybody be able to follow him into that groove? Anybody really? Okay, Alexander Van de Sant is on his second lap, and he's ran over the grass, so that's his lap over.
Yeah, mistake for Van de Sant. He's pulling off the track now, so all eyes on Craig Forsythe as he looks to improve on his lap. No, he is going to pull it over. Heading into the bus stop chicane down the back straightaway, he will not aim for a second lap. One other thing that we might want to point out is that this scan that iRacing has of Watkins Glen, it isn't the most up-to-date. So it's quite bumpier than it is in real life. The curbing is not accurate. How do you think that's going to kind of affect the tire wear of these drivers?
Well, I mean, we know the track can be quite abrasive here, and especially with the curbings. As I said in the track guide that you guys saw just a few minutes ago, do not touch those black and white curbs. Those black and white curbs, I mean, they will send you into the oblivion. As if there is enough praise for it, I will send Jonathan some of the mistakes from that filming, and he can publish
Charles
them
Teed, second on the board, 53.999. I'm sorry to cut you off there, but that is huge for the championship because there, like I said, coming into this race, there is a 6-point advantage for Nick DeGroot at the top of the championship, while Charles Teed just set a much better lap than him. He is looking much more on pace. 5 minutes remaining in qualifying. Max Davies out on track now. One of the few drivers from outside of the United States. Maybe a little bit more road course racing experience for Davies. We'll see it. Well, we will see what he is able to get done. It is a 55.299, only 15th, so I was way off in my assumptions. We'll see if his second lap is any better.
Yeah, as I was saying, though, if you guys want to, I will send him some of the outtakes, and you can see me hitting the wall because of those curbs very, very often.
We might need some content for TMG. If you take a look at the lap time vision there on the right side of your screen, you can kind of see a couple of distinct groups forming here. You know how you have Craig Forsythe at the top, followed by Charles Teed and Alexander Van de Sant. They're kind of forming a 3-car group there, followed by everyone else. You can see it kind of forms like a step, so I think we're going to see a couple of different groups kind of forming up and fading out as this race goes on.
Yep, I mean, those plateaus, though, yeah, as you say, though, they will be pretty much 3 distinct groups. However, the important thing to remember, though, is that, as I said earlier, this track is extremely draft dependent. So you will be absolutely drafting off the car in front, so that might combine some groups as Max Davis goes 10th with a 54.649. Good lap.
AJ Hobson out on track now. I believe this is his first lap, roaring down that back straightaway and towards the carousel. AJ Hobson, he, if I'm not mistaken, he won in Auto Club, almost won in Homestead, but made a couple of mistakes in Gateway, and it set him really behind the 8-ball. So we'll see if AJ Hobson can go on a bit of a recovery drive here at Watkins Glen. Coming through the final 2 turns now, we'll see if Hobson is able to qualify towards the front.
Yep, whilst we're having a look at this now, should we bring up our pole sitter, Craig Forsythe?
Well, he's not on pole just yet. We'll see if anyone can stop him. Hobson goes to 8th with a 54.508, but I think we should bring Craig Forsythe up into the booth.
Hey, Craig, it's Thomas up in the TMT broadcast booth. You got me?
I do. I think you might want to wait until Eric completes his second lap.
Ooh.
Eric is on ooh.
On board with
Okay, well, you know what? We can, wait, which Eric is it?
Eric Schaus, 4th on the board.
He will always wait till the end. Here he comes.
Okay, here he comes around the final corner. Good exit out of there. We're using absolutely all the track, and it is going to be a 53.8, and we're sorry, Craig, you're going back.
Craig, you called your shot in the wrong way. Man.
Okay, well, you know what? We're going to interview you anyway because you're here, and I cannot be bothered to open up my Discord again. So, how was that lap for you? I mean, you were the first driver to dip underneath the 54-second barrier, Alexander Van de Sant getting a 54 dead before you absolutely smashed him out the park there.
I screwed. I was faster. I screwed up the last corner. I commonly do. I have trouble with the last corner coming onto the straight here. That's my one Achilles heel. But I knew that Eric was going to be the tough one for me to deal with because he is always fast here.
Craig, it's the first road course race of the season. These drivers have only 3 races of experience under their belts. How do you think this race is going to shape up as the track and the race progresses?
I mean, this track is all about just staying alive. I mean, as long as you just last, you will do well on this track. It's a matter of just living.
I mean, fair enough. You cannot complain with that. Well, Craig, thank you very much. We're going to let you go back into your Discord channel, and we will see you hopefully later on in the race.
Yeah, you betcha, guys. Stay safe.
Thomas, I know you, for one, have a lot of experience racing these more open-wheel cars, specifically the DW12s and Indy cars in general, on road courses than I do. How does the dirty air affect these cars, and how important do you think that track position is going to be?
My track position is always going to be important. A really good place, though, to use that dirty air as to your advantage, actually, is in the carousel. So that is turn 5, if I can do maths. Or is it turn 4? Wait, 1?
It's 5. Is it 5? No,
5.
No. 1.
No, it's
2, 3, 4. It is 5. It is turn 5.
It is 5. It is turn 5.
You might even think about the bus stop.
Don't worry about it. Yeah, because heading into there are 2 very distinct lines because there is, in fact, that hump in the road which kind of shows a little bit of camber heading into the corner. So you can hold it around the outside, especially as you're coming around. Once you get back to the halfway point in the corner, you can just step on the gas, and even if you're on the complete outside of the track, your car will whip right round. So that's absolutely brilliant. And so basically, you can just absolutely send it around the outside and give the other driver some dirty air and hopefully push them into the grass. And you never know. Maybe pull a Jonathan Oates and put them in the wall.
I feel like I don't recall that, but I feel like I've definitely done that before. We're going to cut to commercial for just a moment, and we will be right back with race coverage live on TMG. Don't go anywhere because we will be right back.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Back live here on TMG. This race is just about to get underway. All these drivers grading up on the front straightaway, ready for one lap of pacing. Now, Thomas, I know you don't watch NASCAR too much, but could it be a little bit of foreshadowing?
I watched the race today.
You did?
I did watch the race today.
Cool. Anyways, so Kyle Busch has just won at Texas. He has been on a winless streak for a very long time. Could that be any foreshadowing for what we might see tonight? Because there are a couple of drivers in this field who have gotten very, very close to a win before, but haven't been able to seal the deal. Who kind of pops to the top of your list when you think of drivers like that?
Drivers haven't won in a very long time with a good chance. I mean, David Leclerc has to be there. Maybe he just messed up qualifying a little bit. As for now, we can see the leader starting to roll now. I mean, Craig Forsythe, never count him out of a good finish. Alexander Van de Sant looks very promising on race pace, I have to say. Nick de Groot, comeback king, starting in the 6th place on the outside groove. So you never know. But I have to say, I do have a feeling turn 1, I mean, it might give you some C-Fix flashbacks, mate.
Oh, no. All right, so everyone gridding up now. I think another driver, a couple of drivers who we might have to watch out for are just those kind of qualifying heroes, you know, the ones that can go out there, set some really good qualifying laps, but maybe not necessarily be there in the race. I think Eric Schaus maybe comes to mind when you think of that, because we've seen him be fast in qualifying before. He just hasn't really been there in the race. Well, he's starting on pole today. So there are a lot of storylines and a lot of drivers that I think could maybe potentially get their first win here. It'll be very interesting to see how this race progresses.
Yeah, one important thing that we have to remember though is this race is 50 laps long on a track which you'll average about a 50, high 54, low 55 race pace on for the fastest guys. So you have to remember how quickly those lap cars are going to come up to you, and if some of the lap cars don't get out of your way as quickly as you'd like them to, that can turn ugly real quick.
And keep in mind, there are no cautions in this race. It's going to be a straight sprint to the finish. I think we might be able to get this race in at just about an hour. So it's going to be a very, very quick sprint to the finish. And I think that's going to mean a lot of impatience, for one. You know, I think on iRacing in general, a lot of these harder tracks, people tend to be a little bit more impatient. And I think that, you know, league racing isn't immune to that. I think we're going to see quite a bit of that tonight. Taking a look at the field, rolling out of the carousel as we get ready to get this race underway. This full field of DW12s going down this kind of short chute towards that. I'm going to call it the final chicane because it's much easier than referring it to as 6 and 7. All right, any last words before we get this race underway?
One thing, whoever has disliked the race already, I don't know what you've been on about, but here we go. We're about to go green. The pace car is looking to take the hard right turn. In this case, down pit lane, and it is Eric. No, it's not. Is it Eric Schaus? It is Eric Schaus leading the way from Craig Forsythe. Pace car is in pit lane, and we are ready to go green. And it's green here at Watkins Glen. Eric Schaus doing really well there, getting a good gap going from Craig Forsythe already. Looking good, heading down to turn 1. Let's have a look down the rest of the field. Will there be any carnage? Not so far. Everybody looking pretty clean right now. Eric Schaus, though, a little bit of side-by-side action for Craig Forsythe and Alexander Van de Sant, who has jumped Charles Teed off the start.
Watch for the slipstream. Coming down the back straightaway, watch for Forsythe to get a big toe on Eric Schaus, maybe hop to the outside. There he goes. Already on the run towards the carousel there, side by side for the race lead. Craig Forsythe looking for redemption from qualifying, has gone around the outside on Eric Schaus. New leader, Craig Forsythe.
And that's exactly the move I was talking about before the race started. That's a move that is also possible, as you now see, heading down towards turn 6 now, and the penultimate corner. Eric Schaus is trailing Craig Forsythe at the beginning of this race. Alexander Van de Sant is sitting in 3rd place from Charles Teed. So the top 4 have inversed places by 2.
Look at that, high speeds down the front straightaway and headed for turn 1. Eric Schaus looking after Craig Forsythe with Van de Sant in 3rd. Nick de Groot has made his way up into 4th, and Charles Teed has slotted into 5th. Charles Johnson into 6th. That your top 6, what's going on?
Nicholas Wunnock just went really wide then and allowed, is that AJ? No, it wasn't AJ Musselman. I think it was Josh Gardner. It was Josh Gardner who went through and side by side at the top of the hill.
Yeah, Benjamin Combs hops to the outside on Wunnock, going to try and get the slipstream off of, I believe, actually no, that's Wunnock up ahead. So that's Benjamin Combs going around the outside of, I believe that was Garner, so Garner might have gotten checked out.
Yeah, that was Josh Gardner. Yep, side by side as well through the carousel. Will he make the solid move around the outside? Is that Benjamin Combs? That's not. Who is that? That's
Combs well ahead. That's Garner battling with Schneider for 17th. Back up front, Craig Forsythe still in control, coming to lap 3 of 50.
Yeah,
and we got trouble already. Corey Lane entered the pits on lap 1. He's 11 seconds behind the leaders. So trouble early on for Corey Lane.
Yeah, I'm going to have a look here just quickly to see what happened to him. It looks... I'm trying to look. I think he just pitted.
Very interesting. So maybe Corey Lane might have started from the pit lane, actually.
No, he spun out of the final corner. He hit that black and white curb, and as I said, he got sent into the oblivion and hit that inside pool, and then decided to take that Hard right turn into pit lane, a bit too early for his liking.
Oh,
as
more
already,
trouble. Garner's slow off the pace. He might have spun it in turn 1.
Yeah, he did. He just spun it. He went over the outside curb and spun it on the throttle. I'm expecting to see many people doing that this race.
Yeah, that is sign of suspension damage because he was tiptoeing through that turn very, very gingerly.
And someone still sat there. Aren't they?
I don't believe so. I believe
Never
everyone's
mind.
back
It's
rolling.
a replay. I'm on a replay. It's okay. We're good.
But already you can see the gap between Craig Forsythe and Josh Garner isn't exactly all that big between your two leaders, and Charles Teed is into the pits. Trouble for Teed. He's rolling down the pit lane. I don't know what's happened to him, but this has
Big front
major
wing damage for
championship
him.
implications.
He took... who's that behind him? Okay, that was Nick de Groot.
He knows
straight up
the
his
wall,
back
yeah.
end. Yeah, he went straight up his back end. Nick de Groot went spinning. And then Charles Teed then spun himself out of the final corner. I'm guessing with wing damage, it just kept it out of everyone's way. But now, that is very important to remember, though, because current last place sitter is Josh Gardner, who's out.
Yeah, that's actually...
he's not. Where is he?
That's huge for the championship, though, because Nick de Groot and Charles Teed, they were your two championship rivals. Well, they've been involved in an early incident, and they now sit 16th and 21st as de Groot is coming back into the pits. That's
I'm guessing
left
he's from
wing.
that front wing damage.
Yeah, front wing damage. He's going to come in. He'll probably have to take his fast repair. A lot of drama early on, except for your race leader, Craig Forsythe, who is now side by side with Schaus going into the carousel.
Yeah, Eric Schaus trying to make that move around the outside that Craig Forsythe did on him. He switched to the outside now for the penultimate corner. Craig Forsythe is going to have the advantage, and he's going to stick it out on the outside. Oh, blimey. I'm trying to get my head wrapped around this. Okay, single file running for the top 3 now. Craig Forsythe, Eric Schaus from
Forsythe over the
Alexander
curbs.
Penton.
That's going to slow him up on exit. Watch for Schaus down the inside, headed for 1.
Yep, he's going to have that momentum, so he's going to pull ahead. Will he get him under braking? Looks as if he will, but that means Craig Forsythe is going to have the advantage going up the hill and then down the straight.
So nice move for the lead on for Eric Schaus. Now that's going to put Van de Son on the tail end of Craig Forsythe. 3-man fight for the lead, coming to lap 7 next time by of 50. Back side by side for the lead. It's Forsythe on the inside on Schaus.
Yeah, a bit further back in the pack for 8th and 9th place. Max Davies and Brandon Pasolacqua are going side by side down the back straight. That is for 8th position.
Forsythe to the lead over Schaus. Schaus trying to cross him over. A really close battle going on right now with Van de Son waiting in the wings. These top two are really slowing each other up, and slow car coming up the track. I believe that's either Josh Gardner or Corey Lane. Just a little bit up the track.
Josh Gardner is a lap down, but I have no idea where he is. Charles Teed, though, has just crossed the start-finish line as the leaders are crossing it now. So Charles Teed is going to be the first driver to be 1 lap down who's still in this race. Unless it's Corey Lane already is, but that's because he pitted. So Charles Teed going to be the first driver to go a lap down in this race.
And this is disastrous for the championship as well. It's never exactly better when the championship leader, makes a mistake like this. But Charles Teed, who has ran more races than Nick de Groot, was still behind him. And now he is going to make that deficit even bigger. So drama early on for Charles Teed.
Side by side at the front.
For his championship hopes.
Craig Forsythe trying to hold that car around the outside of Eric Schaus. Eric Schaus is going to have the momentum down the straight, it looks like, but Eric Schaus is still going to stick down the inside. We're looking for a move now into the penultimate corner, and Eric Schaus is going to have to concede that first place and hold on to second.
Over the curbing again. Craig Forsythe's done that on a couple of occasions now, so that's really going to help out Schaus down the straightaways. Lagging back just a bit, maybe trying to get a run down the back straightaway next time by. Forsythe a little bit wide in turn 1. You can already see the effects of these tires starting to wear.
Yeah, Schaus even wider, though.
Yeah, Schaus just went out that little bit wider on exit.
Yep, someone's in the pits.
I believe that's Eric Peterson. He's falling down through the order.
Michael Spell is also in the pits.
So more drama early on. This race
he has front wing damage. What happened to him? He's had front wing damage. Where is that front wing damage from? I'm trying to have a look now, but I mean, it's a couple laps old now. So he must have just realized it's there, because I'm trying to look. He was running by himself for the longest time.
How about, though, this 3-car battle for the lead right now? It's only early on. But these 3 drivers have all gone winless in the first 3 races of Season 2. So a lot of drivers right now with really not much to lose, fighting it out for the lead at the moment. coming up on lap 10 of 50, and we got a crash! Forsythe around in front of Schaus. Van der Sant now in prime position to take away the lead as Forsythe lost it on exit, and that is going to give him heavy front-end damage.
Sorry, Eric Schaus hit him.
No, Forsythe had already started to spin. Meanwhile, Alexander Van der Sant to the outside on Schaus, headed towards the carousel.
Yeah, I'm just going to have a quick look at all the angles of that incident for a second here, because I'm just looking here because it looks as if Craig Forsythe, yeah, he got loose, but saved it. He had saved it, and then Eric Schaus just helped him along a wee bit.
Well, now it's Van der Sant in prime position to try and take away this race lead. We're going to try and get a view from Charles Teed at that front end. He's going to hold him up off the final turn, though. Watch for Van der Sant. It's now a two-car fight for the lead as both of our leaders collided in turn number 1. Now
Craig
we can
Forsythe,
bring you a replay
he's
of what
caught
happened.
right up. Craig Forsythe is caught all the way back up to Alexander Van der Sant. So these two at the front here have been battling so hard now that they're already right with each other.
So we'll take a look at a replay of what happened between Forsythe and Schaus.
So you can see, heading down to turn 1, Forsythe loses the rear a bit, manages to save it, kind of, and then Eric Schaus just hits him straight up the backside, and around he goes.
Yeah, I'm guessing that was just Eric Schaus not expecting him to slow down as much as he did. But either way, it's cost Forsythe quite tremendously. He is now 9/10ths back on second place Alexander Van der Sant. We are coming to lap 11.
Fair, though, he's caught up. He is caught up massively, though.
He might not have too much damage, but I imagine that his tires are hurting quite a bit.
I think, though, I'm having a look on the onboard of Eric Schaus. His front wing seems to be completely and utterly intact.
Yeah, we can go ahead and take a look at a little bit of a rear chase cam here. One of the nice things we can do with broadcasting virtually. We can just have chase cams that would not be possible in real life. And yeah, that front wing looks absolutely fine. So I think you're right about that, Thomas.
The thing you gotta realize though is, when am I ever wrong? You know?
That is true, but I'm sure we'll find a place when you were wrong.
Oh, I've been wrong so many times in my life. It's kind of embarrassing.
Yeah, and you mentioned earlier on in the running that dirty air was going to be crucial to the carousel. Well, I think we just saw it with Alexander Van der Sant. He got pushed up the track just by being in the wake of Eric Schaus.
Yeah, you can have a look though. As we're on board here with Alexander Van der Sant, you could see that big rear wang on the back of Eric Schaus's car, and I have to say wang apparently because that's the new social norm. I don't know. It's all over social media, and I don't want to be singled out. Oh, and Alexander Van der Sant goes a wee bit wide, missing the apex of the turn. That's going to give Eric Schaus the cushion he needs.
Forsythe went even wider. Forsythe stepped out quite a bit there. Right now, we're monitoring the battle between these two leaders, but Eric Schaus is actually starting to pull away decently from Van der Sant.
Yeah, I have a feeling that is just because... Oh! Okay, sorry, lapped car. Who's that lapped car?
I don't know. That is
Eric Peterson.
I believe that's Peterson, yeah.
That is Peterson.
That is unfortunate for Peterson
as
well. Van der Sant very wide in the carousel.
Yep, there's that dirty air again. So what Van der Sant has to do is you have to do kind of like what you do at the IR18s at Kansas. That's this week. Is that, if there's a car in front of you, you're...
Van der Sant is wide again. Step 2 wheels on the grass. He might be pushing too hard right now.
Yeah, that's a bit dangerous there from what you can see. Yeah, so it's the same thing as what you can see in oval racing in these IR18s. The fact that if there's a car in front of you, your car is in the wrong place.
Yeah, I think qualifying position is quite important, and we're seeing that right now with your pole sitter starting to pull away from the field here. But I do wonder if Van der Sant taking a wider line through the carousel was maybe intentional, maybe trying to just kind of get out of the wake of Eric Schaus, trying to make that high line work. It's definitely a tactic that you could try considering the camber of that carousel, but I'm not sure how it's going to work out for him.
Yeah, I'm trying to have a look now, and it seems that there's kind of a two-car battle kind of emerging between Krista Nelson and David Leclerc.
Nelson and Leclerc, that battle for 12th. Leclerc gaining on her, going down the back straightaway, headed for the carousel once more. Bit of a three-car battle. Todd Schneider in the mix as well. Never mind, he is quite a bit back.
Yep, contact between the two of them, and Leclerc's round.
Two-car spin in the carousel. There's going to be one more involved. That's Corey Lane.
And Spell as well got involved then.
Oh, my.
Spell kind of saw it all happening.
Oh, no. Oh, that is not how you re-enter the track. Spell tried to get back on the track and accidentally just sent Leclerc way wide. We'll take a look at a replay of that. They were battling for, I believe, 12th. And I think Leclerc might have just overstepped the entry a little bit. We'll take a look at a replay.
Yeah, you can see it, like I was looking at the gyro cam whilst he was having a look at that, and it looked kind of as if Kristen Nelson just kind of turned straight across his nose. I'm looking at it now. Yeah, no, Kristen Nelson, it was kind of a mix of the two. David Leclerc could have been tired to the corner. Kristen Nelson could have left him more room. And then you have 4 people spinning all in the carousel.
Oh my goodness! If you look at Corey Lane on the broadcast there, he just got sent into the air. These front wings kind of acting as like a ramp. And then Spell is going to try and make a backup onto the track and sends Leclerc wide into that guardrail. So that is what gave him that front end damage. But I got to say, if we're going to try and put blame on someone, I am not sure why David Leclerc was so far down on the track going into the turns. Because you can see he was basically on that white line. That's going to be way too tight of a line, and just gets up into Nelson.
Confuses me as well. And
for the lead, we got to change for the lead here. Craig Forsythe, he's rallied back, and now goes around the outside on Van de Sande going into 1. I don't know what happened to Schaus, but he just lost 7 seconds.
Schaus, he's going very slowly. I'm looking.
We'll get a replay.
Oh, he's spun in 1.
Oh, that's been the trouble spot all day. Oh my goodness!
Oh, who is that?
He might have lost. That was Bill Schwabauer.
Hold on a second.
Yeah, Schwabauer just sent it into the turns. Take a look on board with Schwabauer.
Hold on. Okay, that seems. I mean, hold on a second.
Oh yeah, that's not good. That's not good right there.
That seemed. I'm not going to call anything, but that seemed quite intentional.
Well, it definitely did, but right now we got a battle for the lead. Alexander Van de Sande trying to trail Craig Forsythe, backing up his entry into the carousel there. Both these two drivers, we know that Van de Sande might have burned up his tires just a little bit, and Forsythe, we know that he must have burned them up when he got in a spin. So I think that both these cars aren't really in the best condition right now. We're coming laps 17 of 50 this time by, and there is a great battle for the lead going on because Eric Schaus got essentially dumped by Bill Schwabauer.
Not even that, dude. He never put he broke about 200 meters late and just he did.
Oh my goodness, it's happened again. Top two just took each other out. Van de Sande outbrakes himself into the first turn, takes out Craig Forsythe, and escapes with the lead. This race has gotten really messy as of late. Take a look at this.
Yeah. I'm not convinced, though, he hit the back.
It was a little bit of netcode, but... Oh, that was pretty bad netcode, but I'm not sure why Van de Sande drove it so deep into the turn.
That was all netcode. I mean, he was on my screen. He's still about 1.5 feet away.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Yeah, no, that was...
But I don't think that you can argue that Van de Sande was way too deep into the turn in doing that.
Yeah, I have a feeling that might be a penalty for Van de Sande because I mean, this is just turning into an absolute chaos show.
I still don't know what happened with Schwabauer. I mean, I have to assume that was intentional because that looked way, that looked way out of line to be just a mistake. But with Van de Sande, I think this might have just been an error.
Yeah, so looking at the official standings as we come across the line, it's Van de Sande from Forsythe, Johnson as he almost goes up the back of Teed, heading into turn 1, Jim Brooks, AJ Hobson, and then, okay, so, yeah, but what's happened then? Eric Schaus is all the way down. He's a lap down now. He's in 16th.
I mean, it doesn't surprise me because he basically got taken out by Schwabauer, which, by the way, he has been disqualified, so Schwabauer is out of the race. Thomas, I don't know if you think it'd be a good idea, but do you want to go ahead and bring him up into the booth?
I mean, dangerous territory, but we'll try it.
Sure.
Where is Bill
He's in general.
Is he in general?
Last time Andy is no longer in general. All right.
You keep commenting, I'll find him.
All right. You know what? While you do that, we're going to talk about Alexander Van de Sande because I'm interested to see if any penalties come his way. Schwabauer just got taken out of the race by the admins. I'm not sure if Alexander Van de Sande is going to have a black flag or anything like that coming his way, but I got to be honest, I don't think it would be quite right of the admins to let him run away with the win after essentially dumping Forsythe. Meanwhile, we are coming up in kind of an area where these drivers could consider coming into the pit lane. A fuel run here is about 22 laps. Multiply that by 2, that'll get you to lap 44 on a 2-stop strategy. So I got to imagine that's what most of these drivers are aiming for. We'll see what Van de Sande does from the lead.
You know what, though? Shall we see if we can maybe bring up one of the hurt parties in that?
You mean Eric Schaus?
If I can find him, maybe.
Hey, if you can, that'd be great. Because I'm very
And-
curious to hear his perspective on that.
Just everybody's buggered off. Everybody's left the voice chats now. What's going on?
I mean, I got to imagine they're probably not all too happy with each other at the moment.
Oh, it doesn't surprise me. Okay, so Bill Schwaber's out. Alexander Van der Sant is leading from Craig Forsythe. Charles Johnson spinning.
Oh, we got
Charles
trouble.
Johnson spinning out of 1.
Johnson out of 1. I'm trying to find him on my timing screen here. Yeah, that's going to cost
Oh,
him
and
quite
he
a
got
bit.
killed. He got hit.
Oh, no.
That is...
Again.
Oh, dear Lord. Was that... That was someone who got glitched out of existence. Bloody Nora, what happened there?
All right, we'll take a look.
Josh Gardner, he went straight over the grass and... Yep, okay.
Oh, my... Wow. This race has really turned into a mess here. A lot of drivers just tripping over each other, trying to go for all the positions they can. Meanwhile, Benjamin Combs, now stuck behind Charles Johnson, who's very clearly out the pace. Combs going to the outside on the run towards the final chicane of 6 and 7. He's got the overtake done preliminarily. Johnson going to concede. Up into 8th goes Benjamin Combs.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what Johnson can do, though. Johnson got hit by...
Yeah, I mean, that
was it
definitely
Gardner?
wasn't Johnson's fault. I'm still curious to know why there hasn't been a penalty levied against Alexander Van der Sant. Because if you ask me...
Oh, and Charles Johnson is pulling over, and I don't know. Okay, he's stopped pulling over. What's happening? Okay. Okay, he's now pulling over again, and he's done. Charles Johnson has gone back to the pits, and Josh Gardner and...
Yeah, Gardner out as well. I was just about to say that.
Yeah, Bill Schwab. Okay.
Meanwhile, Charles Johnson, you said he was pulling off into the pits. Oh, he is also out as well. Okay, so I thought he might have just been pitting. AJ Musselman is the first driver to pit on lap 18. Sorry to cut you off there.
It's alright, he just sat himself on the side of the track and just alt F4'd, I'm guessing.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. I've been in situations like that before. A lot of times it just, doesn't really feel right to carry on. Update on the championship battle. Nick DeGroot is currently running in 9th. Championship rival Charles Teed running in 12th. So this is looking like a golden opportunity for Nick DeGroot, who is the last car on the lead lap, to extend his advantage at the top of the championship. Meanwhile, Alexander Van der Sant is going for his first win in the series, but it would definitely be under heavy review considering the circumstances of how he got this lead.
Yeah, definitely. One driver, though, who will be very happy with this standing right now is AJ Hobson, sitting in 3rd, but coming under increasing pressure from Brandon Pasalacqua, who's about 5/10 behind him at this time.
Yeah, if you remember back to Gateway, Pasalacqua after the race talking about just wanting to kind of try and capitalize more on these mistakes. And what's going on?
Hobson, okay, and Hobson's in.
Yeah,
Hobson's in the
pitted.
pits. Yep, I was wondering why he was slowing down so much. Okay, so now Brandon Pasalacqua...
Oh my goodness, a huge crash! In turn 7, Eric Schaus just got absolutely flipped over. Benjamin Combs involved as well. Massive pileup on the last turn on the racetrack. One car went flying. They're pitting for the lead. Thomas, update us on pit stops while I take a look at that massive crash in turn 7.
Hold on, I don't know how to do that. Okay, 8. So Eric Schaus in the pits, AJ Hobson's in the pits, David Leclerc's in the pits, Benjamin Combs as well, Gary Corley just
Well,
pits.
Benjamin Combs is in the pits because he just got wrecked in turn 6 and 7, or I don't know if he got wrecked, but there was a wreck.
Yeah, no, you'll see it here. You can see it locks the brakes up on the grass, comes straight back out into Eric Schaus, and Eric Schaus gets obliviated.
Oh, that was awful. A terrible crash involving Combs and Schaus. I think he had to tow back into the pit lane because
and something's happened to Forsythe.
Upside down.
Something's happened to Forsythe.
What's going on with Forsythe?
Oh, he's pit.
Okay, Forsythe into the pits. The only driver to stay out now is Alexander Van der Sant, who might be trying to extend to a one-stop. Here's another look at what happened with Eric Schaus and Benjamin Combs. Combs just undershot it, gun out of the grass, and flung Schaus through the air and hard into the outside wall. No caution, because there are no yellow flags in road course racing on iRacing, but I have a feeling if this happened in real life, that would absolutely have brought out a yellow flag. Meanwhile, Alexander Van der Sant trying to extend to a one-stop, so we'll see how that strategy works out for him. That's your update on the two-car incident that happened in turn 7. Now, taking a look at your leader who has made it 24 laps on this fuel run. The pit window...
Everybody else is pit. Absolutely, I think absolutely everybody else is pit. You can
Exactly.
Tell me if I'm wrong here, but I think everyone's pit.
So Van der Sant... Sorry, continue.
The 88 of Michael Spell is getting double lapped. David Leclerc is about to. He goes very wide. Oh, dude, this is... Okay, so now only 6 cars are on the lead lap.
Yeah, it's been a very chaotic race, but I think what's happening with Van de Sant, he's trying to extend this race to a one-stop strategy. The only thing that I wonder about that is because, according to Charles Teed, he told me before the race, a pit window around here is 22 laps. Now he's coming in.
He's in. Alexander Van de Sant is in, yeah.
So he managed to extend that window an extra 3 laps and brings it into the pits on lap 25, trying to extend to a one-stop. That is going to give Craig Forsythe a bit of an undercut here by 3 laps. We'll see what he can do with it. Halfway through here at Watkins Glen.
This is a very important lap for him, though. Decent through the carousel, a little bit wide. That's all right, using obviously all the curb on exit. You see 2 corners to go. Alexander Van de Sant is in his pit box, and he's being raised up off the ground. It's going to be very close on exit. You can see Craig Forsythe there using all the track. Alexander Van de Sant is rolling as Craig Forsythe hits the front stretch.
It's going to be close. Van de Sant. Okay, Van de Sant's got him by quite a bit. So Forsythe slots back into second, but I got to imagine he is probably trying to hunt down that race leader because I can't imagine he's all too happy with Van de Sant after how he got that lead over him.
Yeah, most certainly not.
Which, by the way, I'm so surprised that there is no penalty coming of that, so we'll have to see if anything happens post-race.
Yeah, Craig Forsythe getting the draft off of that is Todd Schneider, whilst Alexander Van de Sant has the company...
Oh, big lunge by Forsythe, he's got a spin! Saved it.
Saved it? Oh, that is a hell of a save.
Yeah, he locked up the brakes there to try and get the car back under him. It worked, but that's going to burn up his front tires quite a bit and extend the advantage for Alexander Van de Sant.
Yeah, let's look at what's going to be at the line, though, as Alexander Van de Sant comes across the line.
It's getting up to 7 seconds. Meanwhile, battle for 5th, Brandon Pasalacqua and AJ Hobson. That battle's starting to heat up.
Yeah, most certainly, though. And now, everybody down to 11th place have unlapped themselves. But Charles Teed is going to be the first guy now to get lapped again, as Michael Spell is the guy who's behind Charles Teed. So Charles Teed has a massive lead over Michael Spell. And I hate iRacing sometimes when it does that. Sorry, my scoring board just glitched out. Okay.
I will say, sorry, you can continue, but I was just going to say, it's very interesting to me that no one has gotten a penalty yet. It's because I know that, I definitely know that Bill Schwabauer has gotten one. That's why he's out of the race. But it's really interesting to me that Van de Sant hasn't gotten one, because that definitely looks like avoidable contact.
Yeah, and Van de Sant is looking to lap Kristen Nelson as who's just entered pit lane? That is Charles Teed. Charles Teed's in the pits. And Kristen Nelson not making it difficult for Alexander Van de Sant to go through. 6 seconds though, the gap between Forsythe and Van de Sant. So Forsythe is closing that gap at a rate of
5.5 now. It's getting very close between the top two. He's gaining quite a bit. And keep in mind, I'm still not entirely sure that there won't be a post-race penalty for Van de Sant. Battle for 4th heating up. AJ Hobson under increasing pressure from Brandon Pasalacqua. You know, Pasalacqua is a very calm, methodical driver. Doesn't really get involved in too many, big storylines. He just kind of slowly makes his way up through the field and always happens to be there at the end. I think he might be one of your, and if you'll excuse the pun, Dark Horse Championship favorites.
Yep. But do remember, everybody, any post-race penalties that are issued will be shown on our Instagram, Twitter, and here on YouTube in a community post. So that is TMG_racing on Instagram. I believe it's the same on Twitter.
Yep.
And it is obviously TMG Racing Network here on YouTube. So you can look at that for all your news coming from Dark Horse Indycar Series after this race.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. This race has certainly not been one of the cleaner ones we've broadcasted on TMG, but that is to be expected. When you go to a road course like this, it's very high speed, very high intensity. Sometimes you just run into issues like this. There have been 3 retirements so far in Charles Johnson, Josh Garner, and Bill Schwabauer, who has been disqualified. Well, at least I assume he's been disqualified, but I can't guarantee that.
Yeah. And remember, everybody, this series is sponsored by Butt Kicker. Use code DarkHorse20 to get 20...
Sorry to cut you off there in the middle of our
trying to do advertising
Yes, I know, but I was just going to say that Nick DeGroot is into the pit lane. Very interestingly timed stop. That is his 2nd pit stop of the day, but it's not going to hurt him too much. Really, all he has to do is protect a championship lead, and Charles Teed is really not in a position to take that away. Sorry, continue making us money.
Exactly, because you keep making us money. So the series is sponsored by Butt Kicker. Feel what you've been missing. Use code DARKHORSE20, capital D, no spaces, for 20% off at thebuttkicker.com.
Thank you. Anyways,
No worries.
AJ Musselman, he is third in the championship coming into this race, 10 points behind the leader. I don't believe he is in a position to really make up that many spots on Nick DeGroot. However, he's definitely having a much more solid race than a lot of these drivers, so DeGroot might be trying to maybe pass him or something, trying to run him down. There's the gap between them is pretty big, but if anything is to go wrong for Musselman, he could be in a good position to take that spot away. Not really sure why he pitted there, but I'm sure that there is a reason behind it.
Yep. Gap right now between Craig Forsythe and Van de Sant is closing down extremely quickly, as the gap at the line is 4.9 seconds now. He lost a little bit of time in the last half of that lap, but doing really, really well to catch up to the number 317.
Yeah, this blimp view should give you a good idea of what's going on. You see Van de Sant there exiting the S's, Craig Forsythe just now entering the final one. So the gap at the front getting a little bit closer, and I have a feeling that if that gap does get down, oh my goodness.
And Corey Lane letting him through.
Yeah,
well
I was
done,
going to say that got pretty close there. But if that gap at the front comes down any much more, I have a feeling Craig Forsythe isn't exactly going to be too calm when racing Van de Sant for the lead.
Yeah, most certainly not. One man, though, who's going to be absolutely fuming in his metaphorical race helmet is Eric Schaus, looking like the clear favorite to win. Nothing he could do. Unfortunately, circumstances out of his control. Is very close. Holy moly, between Gary Corley and Craig Forsythe as Gary Corley is being lapped. That was, in both Hasek Quebecois, sketchy.
We'll get a replay of that. I'm guessing it was through the final turn. We've seen these two turns be a bit of a trouble spot. There's Forsythe, there's Corley. Yeah, that was a little bit closer than I think either of them would have liked.
Yeah, and through their lapping efforts now, Craig Forsythe has dropped a 10th back on Alexander Van de Sant. So hopefully, he's going to keep catching back up now that he's in clear air. And Alexander Van de Sant is also in clear air right now, so this is going to be the point at which we're going to see the true pace of these two drivers. Do you remember, though, Alexander Van de Sant does have, 5-lap newer tires? Something along those lines? Oh, that was very close on exit for Craig Forsythe.
Yeah, there's a bit of a tire difference between the two. Van de Sant, his tires are better by about 3 laps.
Yep. Craig Forsythe, though, is closing the gap down about half-tenth on that lap. But do you remember, I have a slight feeling, and when I just have a slight feeling, I mean I'm currently texting the admins, that there will most likely be a post-race penalty, maybe.
Thomas, can you update us on that situation a little bit more?
Well, when I was saying I'm texting the admins, I mean I've asked a question in Discord and they haven't answered yet.
So I feel like they didn't say anything about a penalty.
No, they didn't.
Okay. Well, you know what? I appreciate that you're trying to build up the storyline.
Don't worry about it.
I got a feeling, though. I think that you might be right about that. I feel like at the very minimum, that needs to be put on a review because I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I know that I, for one, if I was in Craig Forsythe's position, I would be pretty furious if the admins didn't do anything about it. I would maybe understand it if we were racing in a stock car series where contact like that is a little bit more common. But in these open wheel cars where you're really not supposed to touch anyone, because things like what happened with Benjamin Combs and Eric Schaus can happen, you're really not supposed to make contact like that. It'd be kind of frustrating if no penalty came of that, at least if I was in Forsythe's position. Meanwhile, the gap in the front getting down a little bit closer. They are now less than a straightaway separated, so they are on the same straightaway when they're going down the back.
Yep. So the gap now is sitting at about 4.4 seconds, I want to say, but Alexander Van de Sant has just picked up the slipstream from David Leclerc. So hopefully these guys get out of the way real quick as Craig Forsythe, they're pretty much a short shoot apart right now through those penultimate corners. Yeah, so that is going to be very close. Keep
in mind the pit strategy as well. Alexander Van de Sant pitted late enough where he could... Oh, no! Oh, no! Van de Sant spins from the lead into the outside wall. Forsythe goes on through, nearly gets clipped by Van de Sant, and all of that because David Leclerc spun it around, entering turn number 1. Craig Forsythe, your new leader at Watkins Glen. An absolute travesty for Alexander Van de Sant's race.
Yeah, don't mind the noise I made. I don't know what that was.
Yeah, I don't know what that was either. I just heard you go, what?
I saw it happening, and I was like, David Leclerc's going to spin, he's going to take out Alexander Van der Sant, Craig Forsythe's going to hit in the back of them somehow because dark magic.
So on board with Van der Sant, you're going to see it right here. Leclerc goes around, and Van der Sant takes to the outside of the track, but that banking change pops him up on 2 wheels, nearly flips him over. He's going to go sliding around in the runoff, backs it into the tire barriers, and gives Craig Forsythe an easy pass through to the race lead.
Now, I don't want to say anything, but isn't that kind of karma?
In a way, I was actually going to say the exact same thing. Van der Sant spun Forsythe from the lead and gave himself the lead. Well, now Alexander Van der Sant himself, he spins from the lead and gives Craig Forsythe an easy pass into the race lead. However, we still have to consider the fuel strategy. Because Alexander Van der Sant pitted late enough where he could, in theory, make it to the end of the race on a one-stop. Craig Forsythe pitted at a point where it's going to be cutting it close. He's got about 3 more laps to make up, and when a fuel run here is only about 22 laps, Forsythe is easily at a strategical disadvantage. We are coming up on lap 40 slowly but surely. Thomas, this is going to be a very, very intense race to the end.
It most certainly will. It looks like it's going to be a battle of strategy here. So that's going to keep us right on the edge of our seats right till the very end.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's very rare that we get to see a strategy race in these series because a lot of times we end up with quite a few cautions towards the end of the race. However, today, no yellow flags, just all green flag racing. And it's Craig Forsythe who's in, I don't know what the correct expression for it is, but he's in a position where he can't really do much outside of just hope that that fuel tank just gets a little bit bigger by sheer luck, sheer magic. I don't know what it is, but he is definitely not in a favorable position.
Yeah, one thing though that we can do right now, because I have just looked, Charles M. Johnson is out of this race and he is still in the Discord. So Jonathan, would you like to bring him up?
Yeah, I don't really have any questions for him, but if you got something to ask, go ahead.
Hey Charles, it's Thomas up in the TMG broadcast booth. You got me? Hey Charles, it's Thomas up in the TMG broadcast booth. You got me?
He might be away right now. We'll go ahead and send him back. We gave it a shot.
Yep. We tried, boys. We tried. No one could tell us we didn't try, because trying is the most important thing in life. You cannot do anything if you don't try, and why aren't you going back?
Okay.
Just,
where did he come from? Well, we'll just slap him in general and hope that's right.
he came from CJ's room, but he's not moving.
Hold on.
I think Charles might be God Emperor above, and this is impossible to move.
Yeah, this does sound unfortunate. Well, he's going to come back, and he's just going to hear us screaming at race cars, so I don't know what's going on there. But right now, there's kind of a ticking clock. You know, it's between Craig Forsythe and his fuel run. That might be the biggest rivalry of this whole race. Because Forsythe right now, you know, he has to make it 3 more laps than Van der Sant did. I'm going to predict that he's going to run out sometime around lap 46, because he is clearly not back down to save any fuel. Van der Sant's in a very similar position. We're going to end up with a fuel run to the end, and you're going to see it all here live on TMG.
As Van der Sant gets a wee bit loosey-goosey, as the Australians say. Or sorry, I gotta say it properly, the Australians say.
Oh, Thomas.
I know, I've heard apparently you're not supposed to say it Australian, it's supposed to be Australians. Like you say it like a high-pitched A.
Like there is Australians.
Yeah, someone told me that, and I was like, I mean, makes sense.
You know, that would be a lot better if we were racing in like Oran Park, Bathurst, but no, we're in New York, so now, you know what? It's not exactly fitting. But at the moment, we're really just waiting until the inevitable happens. It's a fuel sprint to the end. It's going to be tense. It's going to be very, very close. I'm not sure that Van der Sant's in exactly a favorable position either, because like we heard, fuel run is only 22 laps here.
Yep. Whilst we have a little bit of break in the action, why don't we go and have a look at our current chat that's happening? Still only the one downvote. So thank you to whoever downvoted the stream. You're doing us a favor there. But to have a look at the chat here, we have Isaac Johnson saying Kyle won. Rachel Schaus, I'm going to take a stab and say some relation to Eric Schaus. I don't know how I came to that conclusion. Says, man, Eric is really getting reamed here by some drivers. iRacing fan number 9 just started following. iRacing fan 9, I did get a notification on my phone. I believe you did, in fact, follow us on Instagram, so thank you very much for that. You guys, too, can get a shout-out. Maybe. Depends on what I'm doing at the time.
That's
If
it.
you do go and follow us on Instagram and on Twitter at TMG_racing.
Yeah, you could also follow us on Twitter. That's the one that I manage. I definitely won't be able to check it because I've been, yelling at pretend race cars all race. But you know what? If I happen to catch it, you're welcome. Granted, I've been getting a stupid amount of notifications all day. That's a different story, but that's completely unrelated. We have a race to talk about.
We do, in fact. Oh, and someone else is upvoted. Thank you very much for the upvote, and someone stopped watching. I don't know why you did this. This last 10 laps of this race are going to be absolutely insane, as Alexander Van der Sant is coming up behind Eric Schaus.
You know what I'm thinking? Van der Sant right now, because, well, I can't imagine why Schaus would be mad at Van der Sant. But what I'm thinking is that these drivers, they might be able to utilize the lapped cars to maybe save a little bit of fuel, and Craig Forsythe had the perfect opportunity to do that with Charles Teed, and he didn't. Van der Sant has the perfect opportunity to do that with Schaus, and he is. But keep in mind, even if Van der Sant is to cross the finish line in first, there is no guarantee that that result is going to stay. We could end up with a Sebastian Vettel at Canada 2019 situation, except only this time we are in New York. So it's going to be interesting here. I think even after the race is done, the drama might not quite be over. You can see Van der Sant going easy on the throttle. I believe truly that he is trying to save fuel.
Sorry, I'm still baffled. Wait, Watkins Glen is in New York?
Yes.
No, I don't believe that.
That is.
Hold on, I'm Googling this. Watkins Glen. Is in... it turns out it is in New York.
Yes, it is. I know my U.S. racetrack geography.
Which is why I didn't know where
Forsythe
Gateway
into the
was.
pits. Forsythe is coming in from the lead.
Oh, dear Lord, and that's just handed Alexander Van der Sant the win on a silver platter.
Well, I don't know if it has. Because Forsythe, what he's trying to do is play it safe. Because he knows that he'll have the tires to go to the end. He knows he'll have the fuel to go to the end. Alexander Van der Sant, what he has to worry about now is making it on fuel. We saw him extend to lap 25 last time by. If he were to repeat that again, he would make it to lap 50 uncontested. But the question is, will he? It's hanging in the air right now. It's all hanging in the balance. 7 laps to go next time by. Craig Forsythe coming out now. He might have just taken fuel. There's a big enough gap between him and Hobson that he can stay in second. He's got that spot in the bag. Now, it's down to Alexander Van der Sant.
Yeah, what is Alexander Van der Sant going to do to respond to that? You see, he's heading down now towards the penultimate corner out of the carousel. Will he pit in? Will he respond? Because the thing is, we know that Craig Forsythe is going to be pushing like an absolute man from hell. But you know what? I'm not convinced that Forsythe will be able to catch Van der Sant. Van der Sant's last lap was a 54.4.
Oh yeah, he's not going to be able to catch him. There is absolutely no chance he's doing that. The only thing that Forsythe can hope for now is that Van der Sant runs out of fuel. A couple of insights from the chat saying that Alexander Van der Sant never actually touched Forsythe, and while I do agree with that, I think it was one of those situations where he might have touched him anyways, even if that netcode hadn't happened. But it's one of those situations that's very difficult to deal with as a race admin. So we'll see how this goes. Keep in mind, this race might not be over after the checkered flag, and if it is, then it still might not be Van der Sant winning. Fuel strategy is going to be a major issue, and I'm still not certain he can make it to the end.
You know what? I mean, it's going to be close, and I don't want to commentators curse him, so we're not going to say anything. Racer Kid number 9, thank you for telling me Watkins Glen is in Net York.
That's my favorite state.
That's the best state. Rachel Schaus, haha, good guess. Eric and I are indeed related. I'm his wife.
There's our confirmation.
Yep, thank you very much, and condolences for his, I mean, he did a great performance tonight, but he kind of got absolutely shunted, so I'm not sure. So
he's been having a less than stellar race. We'll have to bring him up into the booth after the race, even though he's not going to finish in the top 3. Speaking of your top 3, AJ Hobson has been passed by Brandon Pasalacqua, who has very quietly worked his way up into the podium places. So a very nice run tonight for Brandon Pasalacqua, trying to take home his 2nd podium in a row.
Yep, as AJ Hobson is in the pits.
Hobson into the pits.
And that's going to give Nick DeGroot, who's somehow still on the lead lap.
Yeah, he is. What Nick DeGroot has done is he has just played this race very conservatively, hasn't really gotten in any wrecks, pitted pretty late to lap 28, so he's going to be able to make it to the end. He's up in a 4th now. You just have to watch for Alexander Van der Sant, who doesn't exactly look like he's backing down to save much fuel.
Yeah, exactly. And we're here now, coming towards 5 laps to go in this race. In fact, we were on 5 laps to go in this race if you look at the leader. And you know what? The gap is still 19 seconds at the front.
Yeah, I have a feeling Forsythe has kind of resigned to the fact that he knows he's not going to be able to run down the leader under green. A 20-second gap, it might not sound like much to those who haven't really done much racing, aren't really experienced with it. But when you really think about it, that is a absolutely massive gap to make up. For comparison, we're going to go ahead and switch over to the blimp cam. There's Van de Sant exiting the final turn. There's Craig Forsythe, still in the carousel. So he is a good... I don't even know what that would be. I can actually bring up the physical interval, which might be a little bit interesting to see. Meanwhile, Van de Sant coming to lap AJ Hobson and Brandon Pasalacqua, who just came into the pits. Now Pasalacqua 1 lap down. He is going to have to try and run down Hobson for 4th. The gap between them, only about a second.
Yep, exactly.
Also,
you can
that's
see
put Nick DeGroot up into 3rd, so that's going to be a podium for him, unless something drastic happens in these last few laps.
Don't jinx it. Don't.
Well, I
Don't
think
do it.
you're the one who does that.
I never commentators curse anybody. Just look at Craig Forsythe.
Yeah, definitely.
Don't worry about it, dude. I had my fingers crossed. My foot is laying on some wood right now. I mean, not directly. I have
Spinner,
a sock
turn
on,
4. Eric Schaus
that?
up and over into the pit lane.
Okay, the second I talk well about Eric Schaus, he spins. Okay, I'm just not going to talk for the rest of the race at this point.
Yeah, it's been a pretty miserable race for Eric Schaus. He had a really good run going early on, and then it just kind of fell off at the end. Meanwhile, Alexander Van de Sant navigating his way through lap traffic side by side through the S's. That's never a great idea. Almost a little bit of contact through there. He is going to force his way through. Well, I have a feeling that Hobson doesn't want to give up too much time here because he does have Brandon Pasalacqua to battle with for 4th. Now, only the top 3 on the lead lap.
James B. asks, are these legacy cars?
Yes.
I was about to say, so that I don't... Wait, no, because didn't they take the DW12 out of Legacy for a bit and then put it back in Legacy?
I don't know, but what I do know is that it is legacy content, it's just paid content, because iRacing needs more money.
I don't know how they need more money, bro.
I want to say, because I got iRacing in March and all this stuff was free, and then I think it was sometime around, I think it was at the start of Season 3, oh god, that they made some of it paid. So I think that's the update on that. But regardless, Alexander Van de Sant's still leading. Forsythe is closed in a second to 19 seconds. I gotta be honest, I think I might have been wrong before. Alexander Van de Sant, I think he's going to be smooth sailing to the end of the race here.
Yeah, he most certainly will. I mean, the gap is still 19 seconds, you know. So, at the end of the day, I think the really important, I think the only battle on track that we need to kind of think about still is the battle between AJ Hobson and Brandon Pasalacqua, who are still nose to tail here.
All right, well, you know what? We're going to do this. You keep your eyes out on Alexander Van de Sant just in case something happens there. And I'm going to go ahead and bring the broadcast over to the battle for 4th, coming up on 2 to go for these guys, but I believe they'll only have 1 scored lap left. Pasalacqua on the tail of AJ Hobson. White flag in the air, 1 to go for Van de Sant. But now the battle for 4th is on. And you have to imagine
Van de Sant's in the wall.
Here. What?
Van de Sant's in the wall. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding. Don't worry about it.
Why would you do that?
Don't worry, I just want to make you panic. You know, you got to get that liveliness because it's the last lap of the race, and woo, it's been a good one.
It's been a very, very good race. Pasalacqua on the tail of Hobson. He's going to have the slipstream. We know how good the carousel is for overtaking opportunities. Pasalacqua moving down to the inside. Hobson giving him the squeeze. Into the carousel. Pasalacqua up the track. Is Hobson going to cross him over? Yes, he is. Hobson got in the grass just a little bit. He's going to have one more shot at it. Into the final turns, Pasalacqua has 4th place locked up as Alexander Van de Sant is going to play the fuel strategy right and take advantage of the misfortune of others and come across the line to win at Watkins Glen. Craig Forsythe is going to come home in 2nd, DeGroot 3rd. Meanwhile, Hobson and Pasalacqua battle to the line, but Pasalacqua comes home in 4th after a very, very eventful race. And Nick DeGroot, your championship leader, is going to extend his advantage going into the carousel now. It's been a very, very, very hard-fought race for Nick DeGroot, but he is able to make the most out of it. He is going to come away with a podium in just a few seconds here. Craig Forsythe has already taken the checkered flag to finish in 2nd. Here comes Nick DeGroot through the final turns at Watkins Glen. He is going to come away with a 3rd place finish. After 2 consecutive wins, DeGroot goes to a completely different type of racetrack and still proves himself as a force to be reckoned with. Is P3 in Watkins Glen. Everyone else who is 1 lap or more down comes across the line. You can see the full finishing results on the left-hand side of your screen there. Thomas, that was a very, very exciting race. In the end, it's Alexander Van de Sant coming away with the victory. What are your thoughts on that race there?
I mean, honestly, it was, for the most part, a very, very good race. You know, I was a bit skeptical coming into Watkins Glen because in the practice races, you know, some people did some questionable things. You know, some lap cars, you know, there was a lot of issues with lap cars. But you know what? This race went well beyond my expectations. Is that just, I think just Craig Forsythe is just chilling on the front stretch.
Yeah, he was just kind of like, hey, I'm kind of angry at you.
Yeah, he was like, yo, you.
Hey, you want to talk? All right.
No, we're going to get a Michael Schumacher DC moment. Whatever.
All right, I'm just going to cut the
name,
awkwardness, and we're going to cut away for just a moment. We will be right back for your post-race interviews of your top 3, and, of course, Eric Schaus, if we can find him. Don't go anywhere. IndyCar coverage on TMG. We'll be right back after this. And we're back live here on TMG with your race winner, Alexander Van de Sant. Alex, it was a very, very interesting race for you there. You were in the fight pretty much all race, then you made a little bit of contact with Forsythe early on. It might have been netcode. Walk us through your perspective of the incident there.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was netcode, but it was still my mistake, so big apologies to Craig. He should have been much closer at the end. So yeah, I feel awful about that. But in the end, I was glad I was able to pull off that one-stop strategy, and yeah.
Yeah, you just said, you know, it was your fault, apologies to Craig and all that, but if you think that that hadn't have happened, do you reckon the fight would have stayed that close for the whole race, or do you think you pretty much had that on strategy?
I don't know what Craig's strategy was. I had the draft for most of that, you know, like until that point, so I was much better on fuel. I don't know if he would have made it at the end to 25 laps, but yeah, I guess we'll never know. Yeah.
Alex, you talked a little bit there about how you were able to use the slipstream for your fuel strategy. Is that basically all you did, just kind of staying in the slipstream and lifting off, trying to save as much fuel as you can? Or was there something else that helped you extend your strategy by about 3 laps over everyone else?
No, it was definitely the lift and coast that helped. I actually didn't realize, so like VRS wasn't like logging my laps for whatever reason, so I knew it was going to be like really close, but I wasn't sure exactly what mileage I was going to be able to get. So yeah, just hanging out behind Craig and Eric, I saw the numbers and I thought maybe I can pull this off. When I lost the draft, I was a little worried then, but I just had to lift and coast more, and it worked.
Well, certainly a very, very good strategy pulled off by you. I'm actually quite amazed that you were able to do it. I know Charles told me before the race that the fuel run was only about 22 laps. You were able to make it 3 more than that, and in the end, you came away with the win. So big congratulations to you. We're going to go ahead and send you back.
Thanks, guys.
Next up, we are going to bring up into the broadcast booth Craig Forsythe, because we talked a little bit about that incident between Van de Sant and Forsythe. Well, Forsythe was the one who maybe came out of that a little bit less lucky, so we're going to try and get his perspective on the incident as well as the race, if he is actually in the Discord.
I think I am.
Oh,
He's here, man.
Yeah, he is. I didn't know.
I did my job, Jonathan. I brought
Sorry,
him
I
in early.
didn't
Come
notice
on,
that.
man.
I'm like, where is
gotta give
he?
me a shot, dude.
Sorry about that. All right, Thomas, go ahead.
Yeah, so Craig, super unlucky in the race there. My condolences for that one. But walk us through the incident that happened with race winner Alexander Van der Sant.
I don't really. All I know is I got hit from behind, so I got spun out. I was at least able to come around and get back going, but I mean, at that point, I was 5.5 seconds down. So coming back from that far down at Watkins is asking a lot when, all of us in the top, 15 are within a second of each other. So at that point, I needed a prayer. So tried pitting early to see if I could just put fast laps in and just go for it. But once I did that, I guess Alex realized he could just one stop it. So wasn't much I could do.
Yeah, Craig, we saw that incident earlier on in the race with that contact with Van de Sant. Any hard feelings there and anything you might carry over into future races?
Oh, I'm going to kill him every time. No.
Oh, no.
Oh, goodness, what if we started?
We race together a lot. So, it happens. It's unfortunate, but that's racing.
Yeah. Do you think that you would have been able to keep with Van der Sant and maybe even beat him if that hadn't happened?
Yes, without question.
Fair enough. Straight, direct. That's what we like here on TMG. Well, thank you very much, Craig. And we will bring up third-place finisher, Nick de Groot, I think it was, somehow.
I don't know how it happened either. We're going to have to ask him about that. But yeah, thank you, Craig, for joining us.
Okay, so just getting ready now to bring up Nick de Groot up into the chat.
Hey, Nick, this is Jonathan up in the TMG broadcast booth. You got us?
Yep, I gotcha.
Well, it was a very, very interesting race for you there. You ran into a little bit of trouble early on. You had to pit twice towards the middle of the race there. In the end, you were able to come away with P3. Walk us through your perspective of that race.
Yeah, a bit like Gateway, we had a early setback and had to overcome it. At the beginning of that race there, I let Charles by, and he made a little mistake. And, I can paint it any way I want, but I ran to the back of him. That's what I did. I spun out, cost both of us quite a bit of ground there, but I was looking at the numbers, and I knew if I had a damaged wing, but I knew if I could push another lap or two, I could one-stop it from that point onward if I'm careful. So I just did that. I limped around, and we were able to one-stop from there, kind of get that second stop out of the way early, and just with our pace, we were able to get a podium out of it, which surprised me in the end. I was hoping for a top 5, top 10, so to get our third straight podium is really cool.
Yeah, we saw you qualified, I believe it was 6th on the grid there, so third row, second on the outside. Do you think that maybe the road courses this year are going to be pretty much your Achilles heel, or do you reckon you're going to be just as competitive as these ones as you are on the ovals?
I think we're certainly capable of a top 5 at the road course races, but yeah, people like Alexander Vanderson and Craig there, I think they got me covered. Eric is also very quick. I don't think I have the ability to win on a road course unless they have issues. So, yeah, we can get good finishes on it. We can get good points. But, yeah, I don't think we'll be going for wins on any road courses this season.
Speaking of, I was just going to say, speaking of the point situation, you have now extended your lead over Charles Teed in the championship, or whoever might be in second following this race by quite a big margin after a very, very good result for you. What do you think this means for the rest of the season, and how do you what's your game plan here for the next few races?
Yeah, as much as I'd like to keep winning, we're kind of going to take the Dixon approach, just maximize points every single race, get as many points as possible without making any foolish errors. And we've had a couple errors these past couple races, so I need to clean it up on my end. But, yeah, if we can do that and just keep getting podiums and top 5s out of this, I think we have a very good chance at winning the championship.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. Thank you, Nick, for joining us, and congratulations on your third-place result in this race. I'm sure it was very hard fought for you. We will see you, and you already kicked him out. Well, I was going to say that we're going to see him next week. I actually don't know what track that is. I'll review that in a second. The last
we can bring up... I was going to say, let's bring up Eric Schaus and see his perspective on things. Hey, Eric, it's Thomas up at the TMG broadcast booth. You got me?
What's that?
Hi. You're at the
hi.
broadcast booth. Hi.
Oh,
Yeah.
whoa. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Hi. Yeah. So qualified on pole. Absolutely smashed it. First few laps, you got overtaken by Craig Forsythe, but you're all over the back of him. You look to have an absolute banger of a race going on, and then,
Well, he had a banger of a race, just more of a sheet metal banging together instead of, maybe what you were hoping
I said
for.
looking as if he was going to have a
Yeah.
banger of a race. But I think your wife was in chat here. I believe her reaction pretty much sums up what I'm pretty sure what happened. What she said, man, Eric is really getting reamed. I'm guessing that means rammed here by some drivers. I think that pretty much sums up what happened to you. So just, run us through the incident. We saw you here in chat calling for him to be kicked out. So, what's happening?
Yeah, ultimately it'll come down to the admins. I went and I reviewed the incident. Prior to that, second to last turn, we were going into it. I bumped him. My fault. He had braked sooner than I was anticipating, and I bumped him a little bit, but we both got out of it unscathed. And then we kind of gave each other space going through the final turn, going down the straight. And then from what I saw, looking at the replay, it looked pretty intentional, what he did. If the admins feel that way, I think that should be grounds for ejection from the league. If not, understandable. It's going to be up to the admins to decide. I honestly, overall, I'm not so disappointed at the loss. I'm more disappointed at the fact that me, Craig, and Alexander couldn't have a good race there. I felt like we had some really good racing going on early. Craig had that spin kind of early, but he came back very quickly. So it was bound to. It should have been a really good race, and unfortunately, that incident happened.
Yeah, it was definitely very unfortunate. Is there going to be any anger, any tension between you two going forward, assuming that he does stay in this league?
No, I'll just give him more space. Like I said, it was, I tapped him to begin with. That was my fault. I didn't apologize over the radio, which I think is probably what he was looking for. At the time, I was a little annoyed because I felt like he had brake just kind of not intentionally brake checked, but he was a lap down car. He should have moved out of the way for us. But at the same time, I didn't call for it. So it, 50-50 fault there at the very least. So that's fine. But I don't think there shouldn't be any room for retaliation. I think that should be punished pretty heavily. I don't think that's ever called for in any sport or anything. So, but ultimately it'll be up to the admins to decide.
Yeah, do you reckon that you would have had the pace to win on track if that hadn't happened to you?
I for sure would have had a podium, no question there. I think I had the overall pace, but with the draft and the push to passes, it's anybody's game. I think Craig was better at defending going into the carousel than I was. We were kind of trading back and forth there. I was trying to learn where I could brake, whether it be on the inside or outside. I think overall Craig was better there, and I think if you can make the move there, you might be able to stick it for the win. So Craig may have been able to hold me off. Alex was just as fast as us. I saw in practice he put down a crazy fast time. So, it could have been any of us. I'm really, like I said, just more disappointed that we didn't get a good chance to race.
Yeah, well, thank you very much, Eric, and sorry again about your race, but hopefully you'll be able to get this one back next week.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
I gotta say, Eric, I gotta hand it to him because he handled it, I think, a lot more maturely than a lot of us would have. He basically got his chances of winning that race absolutely ruined by a guy who just, was laps down, drove it right into him. I don't think there's any question about it. And I think he handled it very, very, very calmly, very maturely. We will keep you all updated on our social medias if anything is to happen to Bill Schwabauer, which, at least in my opinion, I can definitely see a penalty coming his way, and I think it would be absolutely deserved.
Yep, exactly. And on that note, Jonathan, I think you'll agree that will be time to end this broadcast. It's been an absolute pleasure commentating on this race. It's been absolutely brilliant. And remember, everybody, code is Dark Horse 20 for thebuttkicker.com for 20% off your order of, butt kickers, I guess. Remember, go follow us on social media. So that's TMG_racing on Instagram and Twitter. And of course, subscribe if you're new here. And as well, I am actually, and Jonathan doesn't know about this yet,
okay,
but because I handle the Instagram, so I can do this.
Oh no.
But I will be opening up a meme competition.
Oh no.
So, in this race, we saw quite a few wrecks, a few rollovers, a few almost rollovers. So if you can go throughout the broadcast and you make some good memes, DM them to us on Instagram or even on Twitter, and we will select the best one, and it will be featured at the end of the next broadcast. So make sure...
Oh, no.
Don't worry, I've said it now, Jonathan. It's too late, mate.
Well, all right then. You know what? I didn't know about this. This isn't one of those scripted moments where I'm like, oh, wow, I actually had no idea who was doing this. So this is going to be very interesting. You can submit them, and I will die inside. But that is going to do it for the broadcast. Thank you all for tuning in. We will see you all next week for the Dark Horse IndyCar Series Season 2, Race 5.